What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Oil Stream, live on location, Boston Pizza, St. Albert North. Tom Gazzola Joaquin Gage, Dusty Nielsen in the jaw, calling the WHL final on TSN. Big shout out to everyone who turned out today. Fergie's there, my parents are there, Jason's over there. He's getting the shout. Yes, he loves it. I think it's Zach to come back at ESTHQ, and you know what? People coming down for lunch on a bit of a rainy day in Edmonton area. It's nice to be in St. Albert. A bit of a hike from downtown even. I always complain to my parents the lights down St. Albert Trail suck. But for you come from the south side, how was it?
A piece of cake. You jump on the Henday. It's it's like two turns actually out of my whole neighborhood. So
Lucky.
It's very, very easy. Henday was nice this time of day. Little rain though, Tommy.
That's okay.
That's okay. We need
okay.
it. We need it. Actually, just listening to, I wanted to hear about the wildfires. So winds changing, sounds pretty good. So hopefully the people up in Fort McMurray are safe and things are going in the right direction. Yeah,
we're thinking about them certainly, and hey, moisture is good, so we're getting a little bit. Yesterday was a beautiful day, and you know what? Turned out to be a nice day in oil country because of what happened in the game last night, game 4, the Oilers winning that one in dramatic fashion. Gager. That post game was fun. Now we get to, decompress a little bit. We'll go over some things again, maybe look at a few things a little bit differently outside of the emotion and the immediate feel of the game. So now that we've seen the highlights a couple of times and kind of reviewed some things, Cody Ceci was taking a beating yesterday.
I know.
We'll get into that a little bit as well. And I'm not just saying a few people bringing up CC's game, like a lot, especially when you and I were defending him.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are out of your minds. And I was like, I was at the game, and I'm like, I know they got hemmed into one shift. Him and Kulak were out there for a bit. But people are like, CC's the guy. He's got to go. So we'll park it for now. I'll read a couple liners, and then we'll get into it.
Okay.
Text us, 780-218-9999. And then if you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Get into the nasty chat. That was kind of funny earlier today. Fergie was talking about the disparity between Belzy's legs and Iwanik's legs.
Yeah, that's he's got to wear shorts next time in the hangout. Let's see those things.
Oh man,
maybe he's got to get the Bic out, Belzy, and shine those things up with some cocoa butter, and we'll match him up to Matthew.
Oh my, smooth. The Oil Stream brought to you by Boston Pizza, the Boston Pizza Playoff menu now available, featuring the half-time square footer, a flight of wings, the triple play platter, and the new Chipotle chicken quesadillas. I love Chipotle chicken quesadillas. Fuel your fandom right here at Boston Pizza. Okay, Gager. Let's get into what we saw last night. Just initial reaction. I know we talked about it on the post-game show, but I had people from Vancouver saying that game broke the Canucks. I don't buy that for a second.
No. A lot came from actually watching the what Rick Tocchet had to say after. How a lot of passengers. I mean, he mentioned at least 4 or 6 guys. And I'm trying to go through the lineup. Obviously, I believe Mikheyev. You want more Pettersson for sure.
Yep.
A coach really, ringing the bell, so to speak, for some of his guys to show up in this series and have more of an impact. So, I do not think that that broke the Canucks by any means. They did a fantastic job to get back into that game. Great players make great plays. Brock Besser, unbelievable to get that puck to the net. Finds its way in, but then the response, you know. I think it was in the post game. Bouchard said, "Yeah, it was disappointing, but the mindset was we have to finish this period." Right? Yes. It wasn't even, and that's what I talked about, staying in the moment. Great job by it. I mean, Bouchard's a pretty young guy to have that type of maturity and say that. He goes, "Yeah, we wanted to finish the period," and that basically led to that goal.
Another thing that came up, and this is in line with what you were just talking about, was a couple people mentioned, I want to see more killer instinct from the Oilers. Killer instinct, push the pace. They did for a good chunk of that game. There were some moments, especially in the second period. I think there was the Oilers said 5-6 minutes. I think Tocchet even said 5 or 6 shifts, but I thought it was a good chunk of 8 to 9 minutes of that second period where it was just the Canucks pushing the pace, and then Edmonton kind of wrangled it back a little bit. The late goal in the second period certainly helps with that. But then Vancouver had the push. Would killer instinct not be what the Oilers did at the end of the third after they got scored on? Because I noticed that they right away they went with McDavid and Nugent-Hopkins and Hyman, and they attacked. And then it was the next line that came out with Holloway out there with Draisaitl and Kane. They were in the offensive zone, and they got the goal 39 seconds left. Like, I thought that was killer instinct.
That is. Extent. I mean, the shift after a goal, how many times do you hear? It's one of the most important, and especially at the end of the period. Like, those back-breaking late goals, it happened twice in one game. That hurts. And I can see maybe you say, like, that does take the soul away from a team a little bit, allowing those late ones. And but I mean, they tied up that game and didn't. The Canucks didn't feel comfortable in that situation. You know, they still had I think the thing was they were looking to overtime. You know, they were like, okay,
right.
You know, and their play showed it. They go, okay, we got this. Let's see what happens in overtime here. They didn't have that next step, that killer instinct to go and try to get that game with the time remaining, and the Edmonton Oilers did.
And maybe that's kind of part of what irritated Rick Tocchet. It's like, okay, you got the equalizer. It's late. Edmonton probably sits back because of how well we pushed, quote unquote, the Vancouver Canucks. I'm speaking of Rick Tocchet's point of view here, and then he just sees his team on the back foot for that last minute in the bit, and they get scored on. The goal on Shilov's, the third one for the win. Do you have issue from a goaltending standpoint on it? Because it goes through the old 7-hole, but I heard some people say, hey, there's traffic in front of him.
So, well, you just watch the puck on the replay. It goes past like 3 players, right? And you can the shot from behind the net shows Silov's trying to look side to side. And in those cases, and it's been hitting him a lot, Tommy. Like there's been not enough that I would like to see traffic in front of Silov's to try to find that puck. But that's a perfect example where you finally get a guy battling at the side. And this is what I talked about before, especially with traffic. Shots are coming. Pucks are in a good spot. They're gonna get a chance. But what am I going to do with the rebound? Right? You've got Evander Kane loose on Silov's left side. I got to make sure it's going. At least I keep it to this side of the net and give me a chance to cover this up. Those are the other things that you don't just have to worry about the shot itself. You're worried about other things that could happen. So great job by net front presence by Kane. Great hit, first of all.
On Hronik,
yeah. I mean, that play doesn't even happen without that massive thunder in the corner. But yeah, it sucks when that goes 7-hole because you get a good piece of it, right? And you feel it. And you're trying to squeeze that thing like crazy, and then you just hear the roar of the crowd. It's tough moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice way to sum it up. All right, 780-218-9999. Then get it at us in the nasty chat as well if you're watching on YouTube. I already see a bunch of stuff, comments coming in. If you have any questions for Joaquin, his thoughts going into Game 5 in Vancouver tomorrow night, fire those our way as we roll on. We're live on location, Boston Pizza, St. Albert North. And good turnout here in the lounge for a Wednesday afternoon. I'm getting hungry. Fergie looks like he's got some wings. It is Wing Wednesday. He's got a pint. He already called me out for not getting beer. I went with an iced tea. Hey, it's been a busy couple of days. There's people, I think it was T. Willison saying, it's Jimbo saying, Gage, you're putting in OT. You are a busy man.
Yeah, it's been busy. But, it suits me well right now. My daughter and my wife are on the road to Red Deer now. So it's just me and my boy at home. It's full bachelors. So it's good. Well, it's just about, having fun and keeping the house clean.
We'll get you. Good luck.
Yeah.
We'll get you filled up and maybe something to take home for the boy because I'm sure he's a big boy. You said he's been working out pretty hard.
Yeah. If it push came to shove, I don't know. I don't think I'd rule the pride anymore.
Oh man, epic battle. Well, I've got Pops right there. He's talking about Aquafit. I think we know who's winning this battle. All right, let's get to some comments here. 780-218-9999. And then nasty chat. T. Wilson in the nasty chat. I wanted to get to this one. Says, I have no issue with starting Picks tomorrow. He has as many wins in this series as Skinner does. You talked about his body language. You liked what you saw from Calvin Pickard.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a testament to his age how long he's played pro hockey, and then just seizing the moment. He didn't seem rattled at all.
No, embracing the opportunity a little bit. You know, I didn't listen to the whole hangout, but I heard that Belzy was his roommate for a while. That's a certain point.
Really?
In the career. Yeah.
Colorado?
Yeah, when he got traded, they were roommates in the hotel, I think. So I had to get some stuff done. But interesting, and Belzy, you know, usually you get a good sense of a guy when you meet him for the first time. Those first impressions, and it doesn't seem like anything's changed for Calvin Pickard at this point, right? Like he's good teammate, good guy, easy to be around.
Yep.
And that's part of longevity in the National Hockey League. You don't last that long unless you're a good team player, and it's just a credit to him. The funniest thing, Tommy, though, I don't know if you saw it, was last night when the Canucks scored the second goal, they showed his parents.
Yes. What do you think his dad said there?
Oh my God, he let out the biggest darn ever, and
a Bruce Boudreau
darn. Yeah. And I mean, it was sad, but it was really funny because the mom is just burying her head in his chest and look like in tears, and the dad just gives the full on.
Go for it.
Yeah, you know what I'd say.
What was out of those?
It was great. If it's on the PVR, go back and look at it. It was a really good one from Pops. But they didn't show him afterwards. I wish they would have showed him. I didn't see him right at, but that would have been a jubilation from the Pickard family at that point.
Call it a hunch, but I feel like hundreds of thousands of hockey parents coast to coast were like, I know how that feels.
yeah. Well, my boy he didn't play goal in hockey. Well, he did a couple times when he was really young, but he was a goalie in lacrosse for a couple of years. And it sucks being the father, the parent of the goalie, because every time a goal goes in, everyone looks at you.
Yeah.
You know, I go, what happened? Oh no. You know, so I don't know. He goes and becomes a goalie in lacrosse, where I have no clue how to do this. Nice career choice for that point. But no, it's a cool moment for parents, and I'm sure they're quite happy today,
as they should be. And it was, you know what, good moment too. He goes out there as one of the stars, and just the fist in the air and the twirl. That's good. It's kind of something that, you know, at least I don't catch it doing post game anymore, but the guys going out, I like when visiting players who were named stars of the game would go out.
Yeah.
Just to rub it in. I always love that.
Yeah. And big skates. Yeah. Like when they just go with the boo. Yeah. Do they even go out anymore? I don't.
Visiting, I think when it does happen, and it has happened, the rare occurrence, like if it was an emotional game,
right?
Guys will like hear their name and they'll go out there and they'll do it from the opposing team. And I'm a guy, if that was me in that situation, I had a big game and I was a star, I'm like, I'm doing it.
Oh yeah, you go out there.
I hate this crowd. I'm gonna be a dick to them. So
yeah, you go out and wave to everyone like you're their best friends, pointing.
Just like you and you and you. Yeah.
It's a little WWE at that point. It's great.
Turn heel, absolutely. T. Willison also adds, what's the current state of the Vancouver Riot tracker after last night's loss? You're the boy from Kitsilano. I think they've kind of reined it in, haven't they?
I hope so, man.
I think so.
Like, geez. And it wasn't, I don't think that's a true hockey fan. Those are people that come in and want anarchy at that point. You know, they'd be hard pressed to name a couple players that play for the Canucks at that point, true. I think. So, I mean, there's been issues on White Ave, obviously, and this, but I think
2001 was bad here.
I think Oilers have been there before now, and I think the fan base is actually acting like they've been there before. So
good to see.
Eyes on the prize. You know, this is only the second round. They're still 10 wins away from where they really want to be at this point. So have fun. I mean, the venues look great. Like the Oktoberfest tents. Yes. That looks amazing. I have to get down there and check that out. The Moss Pit's a little bit too young for me, I think.
It's 1819. I keep hearing.
Well, my daughter wants to go down there all the time, and she does with her friends. So I know it's probably not my cup of tea anymore, but no, it looks like for the most part that Edmonton fans are enjoying themselves, and I'm happy about that.
It's worked out nicely so far. Keep it up. Oil Country, nicely done. Let's go to Pat Janex, PJ. He goes by Piss Jug. Yeah. Pat says, what lineup changes do the Oilers make for Game 5, or do you keep it the same? Gager.
Well, let's just start in goal, I guess. And how do you switch after that performance?
No,
you know, it was just a key saves at key moments, and that comfort. And like I mentioned, and you talked about it too, Tommy. I think the whole defensive structure, everyone was taking that little extra step.
Yes.
You know, and doing a little bit extra. The switch to turn to offense was. The volume was turned down until full possession, and then to actually go, like making sure of plays. Just the execution on that side was much better than the previous game, I thought, and that's how they have to play if they want to win. You don't play, you don't succeed in the playoffs by cheating on the offensive side.
Good point.
Right? So hopefully that mantra stays the way it is. It's going to be a tough game in Vancouver. That fan base that building's going to go nuts.
Oh yeah,
both buildings have been fantastic. By the
last
way.
night was great. I
Awesome.
will say
Awesome. So I love the fact that there are some Canucks fans in there, and the back and forth is great. But yeah, this is, and I think Belzy. The other thing I heard on the hangout today was he didn't like the term "weather the storm." Create your own storm. I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But that's something that I think the Oilers have to do. Like, squash the crowd. Like, go in there and have a better first 10 minutes than the Canucks do. Take the crowd completely out of it. Again, first goal is really, really important in this case, where you can take a lot of momentum, put a team on their back foot, and go from there.
Hey, anytime you can do that, especially on the road, is huge, especially this time of year. Okay, we talk about the team defense and guys waiting before they hopped onto the offensive thing. Nobody blowing the zone. Everybody being a little bit more alert and aware. A guy I want to highlight in that regard was Vinny Desharnais. Vinny still finished -2, 18:45 time on ice, 6 hits last night. But there were some instances where Desharnais, like I noticed in the second period, he was battling his guy in front, and the puck gets shot on net, and he quickly looked, and you know what he did? Instead of like staying tied up with his guy and letting the puck got through, he got his like foot on the shot to block it. And listen, this is a little thing, but maybe that's a sign of the alertness and awareness to focus on the defensive side of the game, to protect Calvin Pickard and the house a little bit more.
I always thought when there was battles in front with one of my D-men and the opposing one of the opposing players, I always yelled out, "Stay loose, stay loose." And I
What
meant,
do you mean by that?
I meant don't get too tied up with them, because if something happens, you're only focused on one thing, on one guy, and so puck gets in your skates. I didn't like when they got completely tied up and not realizing what was happening during the play.
Okay. So their focus is
so you get yourself in a good position. If the puck comes, I would say just eliminate his stick. Right, can't score without that thing, and that's where I would want my defenders to be on the right side where they can control the guy's stick.
Right.
And then be able to make adjustments if something happened or the puck hits them, they know where it is, and that's a perfect play by Vinny Desharnais. He's with his guy in front. He's making sure there's coverage there, but also being aware of what's happening and making the block, getting the puck, and getting it out. That's what I liked from my D-man, just to be more aware. Your job's not done just because you've tied someone up.
I like that. Good descriptor. All right. I should mention that portions of this hour are brought to you by Popeyes. Things just get better at Popeyes as the new crispy chicken buffalo wrap now available. All of this is making me really hungry. I haven't eaten anything yet. 2 classic hand-battered and breaded mild chicken tenders with bold buffalo sauce paired with fresh lettuce, tomato, and mild or spicy mayo wrapped in a soft flour tortilla. Available in store or delivery.
Sounds delicious.
Look at them. They're eating.
Oh, yeah.
They're eating. Fergie's eating. Everybody's
crazy.
We'll have a bite as soon as we wrap up the oil stream. All right, let's get to some text. 780-218-9999. Mike in Thunder Bay. Hello, Mike in Thunder Bay. Says, Tommy and Joaquin, I just finished listening to the post-game show. You two were talking about sleeping giants. Let me tell you, there's only one sleeping giant. His name is Nana Bijou, and he sleeps soundly on Lake Superior, protecting his gift of silver. Mike in Thunder Bay with a picture.
He's like Ogopogo, I guess.
I see. In the lake.
I see.
Cool. That looks really nice. Reno Texan says this: if anyone should be criticized, it should be Nurse. He was on the ice for both goals, and the first went in off him. Don't know why CC is being singled out. But I'm looking at the plus minus from last night, and they have, Nurse -2, Desharnais -2, and there was some switching of the pairings last night too.
Yeah, different situations.
Yeah.
I don't know if Vinny's 100% too. He just looks, not that he's the fleetest of foot, but there's
he's not.
Yeah,
we know that.
I think he might be a little bit banged up too. We can pick apart little instances last night where maybe there was a lost battle or things, but
Sure.
over the full 60 minutes, there was some really good plays by the Edmonton defense. Can they be better? Of course. Are they going to need to be? Yes, because I don't think you got the full commitment by a lot of the Vancouver Canucks physically.
Right.
So, and hence coach calling out a few of his guys, calling them passengers. We're going to need more. There's going to be a concerted effort to have, again, that full commitment by the 20 guys on the ice.
In an instance like that, emotions are high. We've talked about that. Rick Tocchet basically called out a good chunk of his team. He said we had 12 guys going out of 20, right? All right. So, we're doing the math. His math was pretty loose last night post game. Whatever. We get what he's trying to say. Does that filter back to the guys? And when it does, if it does get filtered back to the guys, is it through the media or are they listening? And generally, how do players react to that? Because it doesn't seem like much, but I'm sure he said something to them in the room, right?
If he didn't, I would question my leader at that point. He goes out into the media and talks and doesn't say it to us directly. That's trying to get your message across to your players through the media is the wrong way to do it, I think.
Agreed, even though we are media.
Yeah, this is if you're going to do it, you're doing it on both sides.
Right.
In that room, he's saying exactly what he said to the media in the press conference after. We need more.
Mm-hmm.
We only have a handful of guys going right now. It's a look in the mirror time for a lot of those guys. But that it's also dangerous too.
Right.
You're going to have guys. Okay, my coach called me out, and we're tied. It's a best of 3. I got to start bringing my A game if we want to get past the Edmonton Oilers here. So. Yeah, it's I don't mind it. It's just it does become the Charlie Brown's voice after a while if it keeps doing it, And I think that this is the coach that the Canucks needed. That there too many. I think there was too many kind of players, coaches. Just a little too much coddling. I think they needed a firmer hand, and it's evident that they did. And to look at the season they had from the prior one with having Tocchet behind the bench. Also, I don't think we realize that Adam Foote's behind that bench too.
Yeah, he's a big man, by the way.
That he was a whale of a defensive player when he played. He was very hard to play against, right? So those are two guys that command a lot, I think, from behind the bench. So it's probably really frustrating to see for them the type of players they were, to see the type of effort that's put forward by a handful of Vancouver Canucks.
Well, Rick Tocchet was kind of like a Wolverine, a bit of a menace out there. He scored 50, did he not?
Yeah, he was he's more of my vintage. He was kind of like a Lindros before Lindros, right?
But not
as big. Not didn't have the same type of skill.
Yeah.
But he could do it all, right? He was a threat for a Gordie Howe every single night that he played.
45 and 88. His first year with the Flyers was 84, 85. And he played forever.
Yeah.
So he hit 41, 2, 3. He had 48 with Pitt in 92, 93. This was a good player.
48 with Pitt and 252 PIMs, right?
It's almost 3,000
penalty minutes. This guy played hard every single night. That's a good chunk of your life in the penalty box.
So he can stand behind what he says because he did it.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned Adam Foote. There's a guy who was just a tower of power for a long time in the NHL. And then Mike Yeo, who's an NHL coach for multiple teams. So they have a good bench there. And then the way Rick Tocchet said it, quote unquote, called out his team, he just said it in a matter-of-fact way. Like, I don't think he BS's guys. I don't think he's calculated. He's just, listen, we weren't good enough. Hey, and I feel like that message is maybe a little bit more direct to the guys in the room, but it's not like he's like talking in code, because some coaches do that sometimes.
Well, yeah, and you said it. Like, it was you alluded to the 2 shifts after their tying goal, right? Yeah. It was just the Oilers came at them, dominate him. He was visibly upset, with the effort at that point. And it looked like a team that was just, like I said before, they're just waiting to get to overtime and see what happens at that point. And the Oilers weren't having any of it. That was cool. I'm thoroughly impressed with some of the maturity level of the younger Oilers. They're beyond their years right now, and maybe that comes from the last few years in these types of situations, in pressure cookers, Canadian markets. This is, Tommy, do you think the fact that the Oilers have been in the playoffs and had this type of experience where it's getting a little bit hairy, there's way more focus, every shift means so much more, maybe this is where they can kind of use their experience that they've been there before against the Vancouver Canucks? This is kind of uncharted waters for them.
Yes, because a couple of things. I know we're not going to put a ton of emphasis on the regular season, but they're so much better in 1-goal games. Remember how much we would talk about it on our shows at the old station? Man, you can't outscore teams 6-5 every night. And they were. Good for them. But this year, we talked about how they would win the tight games. And if they were down in games, they were okay to come back. And they didn't seem like they were getting away from their game plan and just trying to go full bore on the offense. So that to me is an indicator. And then another one too, like in and around the room the last 2 days, especially yesterday morning and then the one before, pretty calm.
Yeah.
Pretty calm. Well, been down 2-1.
Yeah.
Last year they were down 2-1 a couple times. They were down 2-1 a couple years ago. So what?
Yeah.
They won those series. Not all of them, but they won a good chunk of series in the last couple of years. And finally, Gage, it's always kind of frustrating when you watch this team, and I can see it from a fan's point of view, listening to them when we see them in person or when we see the text line. It's like, why can't they just figure it out? Why do they do that? So even last night, someone was like, the roller coaster ride with this team. Yes, there's always drama with the Edmonton Oilers. It's just the franchise's nature, but there does seem to be a maturation process. And I think yesterday, how they went about their business, that's pretty indicative of that.
Yeah, I think so. This best of 3 series is going to be fun to see if there is something there. They do kind of assert themselves in a more experienced way, where maybe the Canucks get a little bit more of the yips at times. It could happen.
Sure.
It also could. Maybe it doesn't. But I just think there's, looking at the lineups, the personnel that you have of guys that have been in these types of situations before, I would say it favors the Oilers.
Absolutely. Veteran experience, putting your stick in cross-check motion right in front of one of the better players on the Canucks. That was something else. 780-218-9999. Let's get to Barbershop Window in the nasty chat if you're watching on YouTube. Oilers need to win in 6. I can't handle a game 7.
Yeah. Oh, you got it. Like, this is funny because my neighbor, she walks by. She has like a day home. So there's just like 8 little kids in a stroller, and she goes, I can't take this. Coming by my house, and I go, I need them to score 6 goals. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, I have to leave the room. I can't watch. And I like, you got to enjoy this. Like, enjoy the anxiety. It's a lot of fun. I love feeling that way. What other times in your life do you get to feel that anxiousness with something, with a sporting event? It's fantastic. I love it.
Yesterday at Hudson's, I was there for the third period after being, you were there too pre-game, and you could just see the nervousness after the second Canucks goal. And I'm watching everybody. Everybody's in their Oiler uniforms, and then they score because they go on the attack, killer instinct, quote unquote, and just the way it popped. I felt good for those people. I'm like, this, all that nervous energy. You had the feeling good, the tense, protecting the lead. It goes away. I'm sure a lot of people were like, oh no, here we go again. And then boom, they get the one back.
Yeah.
And it's just euphoria. And I was like, there you go. Like they rewarded you. Thankfully.
You don't get that in a 6-1 victory.
No.
Sure, you know what? It probably it costs more in a 6-1 because you're too happy early. And by being anxious, you're not. I don't think you're drinking as much when you're anxious. Maybe a sip here, a sip there to calm yourself. But it probably is a little bit better on the old wallet being a close game.
Yeah, good point. Okay, here's one. We've seen a couple people bring up Sam Carrick. We thought maybe yesterday would be a good opportunity to get Carrick in with the physical play and all of that. It didn't happen. Derek Ryan stayed in. Connor Brown stayed in. And it worked out ultimately for the Oilers. They get the result. But Zulu said, Carrick in, please. So a nice request with a courteous please at the end. And then Wilson, the volleyball, asking, is Carrick hurt? If not, would you swap him in for Ryan? I know he was dinged up a bit a couple weeks ago. He has been on the ice.
Okay.
I'm assuming he's okay to play if they need to, but the decision not to go with Carrick, stick with Ryan. What do you think of that? And then would you like to see Carrick in a physical environment, in a hostile Vancouver home rink at Rogers Arena?
I wonder what the reasoning, why you think you need Carrick. Is it just physicality?
Sandpaper?
I mean, Derek Ryan is not the biggest, strongest guy, but there's a compete level that you get with Ryan. Although last night wasn't a great night in the face-off circle, but
the second goal, he tried desperation,
yeah,
couldn't get it,
and so that needs to be addressed a little bit more. But there's also a skill level with Derek Ryan too.
I understand
there's the possibility of doing something, and this is a guy that with limited ice time last year had double-digit goals if memory serves me correctly.
Correct.
So. And I think when you get into the weeds of the times that there aren't many where fourth line goes up against fourth line, maybe you're looking for that killer goal that you get from those role players at that point. And I think that could possibly go into the thinking of why you have Derek Ryan in there with the way he plays. My thinking, but there's a compete and there's a physicality, yes. That Derek Ryan does possess. I don't find him to be a soft player. I don't.
He uses his size, whatever size he has, to the best of his ability. Yeah. I'll give him that.
Yeah, no, I think he does an admirable job of getting into the opposing team's equipment.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's something that we said the Oilers need to be better at. So they get a little bit of that. Okay. Farhan Lalji covering the Canucks availability. I'm going to get to a couple of things here. Talkit today had a bit more to say about EP40, Elias Pettersson 40. That's his nickname. Says, in fairness, he may not be getting the help he needs, but also could be driving play more on his own. We're not seeing him at all.
No.
He's not effective. There's no positive momentum. Nothing being created from Pettersson outside that one goal he scored in game 2 on the power play.
Great goal, but that was Miller. That was a good disguising of the shot and a great pass.
Right.
No, he's a skilled player that has never played in the Stanley Cup playoffs before, right? And
he had bubble playoffs, and that was when he was really. But that was it was different.
That was
the Arizona Coyotes advanced.
Yeah. That was. I thought that was going to be better than it actually was.
Yeah.
I was kind of excited for the bubble playoffs, but this is just every time of year the league changes. There's preseason, and as a young player, you come in and you think, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable how fast everything is. Then you go all to the regular season, and you get a bunch of regulars in the lineup.
Yeah.
You go through the regular season, everyone gets better. You go to the playoffs, and now these guys take their game to another level, and he just seems. It's kind of puzzling, actually, that a player with his skill, he looks slow out there. Like that's a good point. A guy that when you watch him during the regular season, his hockey IQ is is tops in the league. What he does, what he sees, the plays that he makes, and there's just nothing there. You got to think that he's got to be injured in some capacity.
I think that's a natural instinct to go to what's wrong with him, what's ailing him physically. So perhaps, I know they're banged up. We talk about the Oilers being nicked up and they had that week off between games, how much that helped with healing. Well, I know the Canucks are banged up. Walking around the room yesterday, I'm not going to divulge what injuries I saw, but you're like, oh, I didn't know about that. Oh, can't hide that one. Like, and I guarantee you the Oilers see it when they look on the bench and see which guys have like wraps and stuff like that, where the trainers are working on them. But yeah, he is. Elias Pettersson has not been effective enough for the Vancouver Canucks, especially.
I wonder what he means by support, like playing with the right people.
But Tocchet's putting like call-ups on his line and has all year basically.
Yeah.
Like, didn't yesterday. Kind of switched out. I think he had Lafferty bumped up for a bit. Sure, maybe that's him trying to lay off the gas a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I'm assuming
protect his player a little bit.
Yeah,
I can
protect
see
him a
that.
bit, even though he's kind of giving it to him. Tocchet also added this. This is from Farhan Lalji. He said Tocchet wouldn't go so far as to say Demko could play in this series, but says he has, quote, improved immensely in the last 72 hours, unquote. Also suggested Podkolzin and Höglander as options for tomorrow and won't break up his top two lines. Interesting on Demko because yesterday Dan Murphy from Sportsnet was on the Rink Report with me, and he goes, listen, I don't even think we're going to see Demko in this series. We might not even see him if the Canucks advance until midway through the next series. Even if Demko is good to go, how much, or at, like, let's say he's at 85%, how much better would he be than Shelov's, and how much better of a chance would he give the Canucks than Shelov's is providing right now?
Is he one save better at 85%? I don't know. Shelov's is playing quite well.
He had that sequence again on McDavid, and I think he got Draisaitl with one.
No, I don't. That's a tough question, and that's a tough question for a decision for a head coach to make at this juncture of the series, where everything means so much more. And again, you're putting in a guy that's hasn't played in a while. Look back to Adin Hill in the Vancouver or the Oilers game when he came back from injury. He looked like I did back in when I played. He was all over the place and didn't look it's and again jumping on a treadmill at 20 miles an hour.
Yeah, you brought that up yesterday.
The refinement of your game, getting used to the speed. Adin Hill in that game was not used to NHL speed at that point. Being and I don't know the total amount of time he was out, but I know it was a few weeks. And I don't
even think he went to Henderson for it.
Yeah. So he looked completely out of place. I think it would be a mistake to put Demko in at this point. It's because of Seeloff's play at this point. He's not caught. Okay. He's the reason why the Vancouver Canucks are where they're at. And he's giving them more than a good enough chance to secure a win.
It is interesting, though. Maybe a little bit of gamesmanship, but you know what? We'll see what happens tomorrow. We'll find out.
Höglander's interesting, though.
That one, yeah. Well, he took the shot to the twig and giggleberries from Derek Ryan.
Yeah, and that's what kept him out.
I don't know, maybe, but I'm sure it did not feel good. No,
but it didn't look. Well, I guess if you catch it right on the right spot, it's. Yeah, I've seen that happen to some guys. It's hilarious, but and awful at the same time.
It is the Oil Stream live on location, Boston Pizza, St. Albert North. Gazzola Joaquin Gage with you. Keep those texts coming in 780-218-9999 and via the nasty chat. We're going to get to a few more. I should mention too, big thank you to our sponsors, Cool Bet. Ride with Edmonton Sports Talk all playoffs long at CoolBet. Watch the EST parlays for every game only at CoolBet.com. The boys with those parlays have been making money for people, which is great.
I'm amazed. My account got drained over some chasing of bets and the parlays. And I mean, I bet like a Wannick, but the parlays just but I keep building those parlays, and it would take an act of God for this to eventually happen. But
you're waiting for that one to hit.
Because but it does add a little bit, and it can actually soothe the pain a little bit.
Oh.
You know, if your team's not going the right way,
Yeah.
and but you win the bet, sometimes it makes you feel a little bit
That's
better.
funny. It reminds me of my youngest brother. Him and his buddy have an account, and they sprinkle, but they go for like the most impossible parlays.
Yeah.
They'll put like $5 down, and the payout's like 5,500.
Yeah.
It's like over 3 days. They're like, why? He's like, we almost hit a couple of them. I'm like,
There was
Good
one
luck.
time when I was playing in Prince Albert, and we were playing the Lethbridge Hurricanes, and we stopped, and we all went in and played the Sports Select.
Oh,
but we,
yeah,
but
Sports
we
Select.
all picked the long shots, and we get of course there was no internet there, but they're announcing the scores of different things over, and so we needed one more to hit, and the game was going on, and they announced one of the baseball scores, or I don't know who, like the underdog won, and our bench jumped up because it was like you would have thought we scored, and everyone goes, "Why are they cheering?" Because we had this ticket where we were going to win like $100,000 with this thing, and it came down to one. I forget who it was, but we didn't. We didn't win. It was hilarious.
That is pretty funny. Anyway, big thank you to Cool Bet for joining up with us really early on before we even went to air. We're coming up on a year since the old shop went down. And then we're at 10 months, I think, now of Edmonton Sports Talk, which has been great. So a huge thank you to all of our sponsors. All of our audience on the viewership side, listenership side continues to grow. Dusty says it. Like, share, subscribe, tell your friends. This thing has been very organic, and it's great, and it's encouraging. There's some times where we're like, we got to keep working to remind people where we're at now.
Yeah, it's funny that you do have to do that, because I still run into the people that were fans of the show for years.
Yeah.
And they were so upset. And how many times has it happened too that you've told someone and they go, "You should try YouTube," and they were like, I don't know. And they come back and go, "I love the YouTube aspect of it."
That's been interesting. Yeah.
It's just the nasty chat itself, and something in the morning. I mean, everyone comes down or whatever, making breakfast, having your coffee. Nice to have the video component of the show.
Yep.
And see the boys and see the antics afterwards. It really adds something, I think.
The other thing too, on like the audio side, people are like, how do I get it out of the dial? How do I get out of the dial? It's like, well, the dial, like the old one, is not really going to last very long.
Yeah.
You still go to Blockbuster to rent movies. And I just tell people, I'm like, grab your phone. Hey Siri, hey Alexa, hey Google, play Edmonton Sports Talk. And sure enough, it's as simple as that. They're like, "Oh, really? That's not easy." Yes, it's not easy. Had to show some people last night. They're like, "Oh my god," and that is exactly how they sounded.
Yeah.
Let's go to Propane Pimp in the inbox 780-218-9999 or via the nasty chat. Propane Pimp says the best of 3 is going to be fun. Breathing through a paper bag is not fun, Gager.
It is. You got to embrace it. It is fun. This is man, I miss playing in these games because it was the only time I actually felt in control. At least what I did affected the game. But I love the anxiety. There's nothing better than having these close, tight games. Man, it's I'm looking forward to tomorrow night, man. It's going to be, I think now, because last year the Vegas series. It felt like to me it was like one good game, one bad game, one team was clearly better than the rest. And then I would say that the Oilers didn't have their best, but Vegas did. So I really want to see both teams playing their best hockey, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm looking forward to. And we've had some good games, but I still don't think we've had that where both teams are operating at such a high level. And what happens in games like that, the game is here, and then there's certain players on both sides that are able to just raise it.
Yeah.
But I think it favors the Oilers in that situation. I mean, we saw Connor and Leon do it for even more time than usually happens throughout a game. Maybe it's 6, maybe it's 5 minutes, right, where they just go supernova and produce and score a goal. But that's what I think is going to happen over these next 3 games. It's going to be some of the best hockey that the Oilers. That's going to have to be the best hockey that the Oilers and the Canucks have played all year if they want to win this series.
Huge test against a team that hates them, had success against them, wants to beat them badly. So does the fan base. So yeah, they need to elevate. I like that. Well described. Swifty says, "Killer instinct is stepping on the throat and not letting off. The Oil let another lead slip, and desperation got them the game-winning goal." There were some people that were concerned with a lead slipping, multi-goal lead slipping. Yes, I agree with them. Like, that's concerning, but the response was good.
Yeah, and a little bit fortunate, I think, on the first Vancouver Canucks goal, but that was a well-earned goal. The tying one, win a draw, win a battle on the wall. Dominating, getting to the front of the net. Brock goes around Vinny Desharnais with the shot to get it on net. It pinballs around and goes in. That's a very hard-working, hard hat type of play. You gotta give it to them. That they outplayed the Oilers in all aspects of that. Of that time.
Yeah.
There's going to be times when the Canucks are going to push the play. You saw it. They can push the pace at times. It's so hard to sustain that level because it does drain you.
Yep.
But you weather the storm and you push back, and the Oilers did that.
Kudos to them. Coach Mike texting in says, "I thought Desharnais had a good game alongside Nurse. Nurse punching Joshua in the face after Nurse took that early cross-checking penalty was also great." Coach Mike.
A little bit of I think that was blueberry though, wasn't it? Chocolate chip. There's a little bit of a muffin there, but whatever. I mean, you don't want to take a 2-minute penalty there, but nice poke by Nurse. Good to see a little bit more gamesmanship.
Yeah,
getting a little bit nastier. I think. I do think Darnell Nurse can play with a bit more of an edge.
He's capable.
Maybe be a little bit more Corey Perry-like after the whistle with things. Just getting to the psychological warfare of a 7-game series. Trust me, these guys hate each other right now.
Oh yeah,
they would walk over each other's graves, I think, at this point in the series. So this is I like what Perry did. Let's hope that this is the smoldering of the fire of Corey Perry. I think we're gonna see him do something special in Game 5 or 6 here.
He has the knack. He has done it in prior years to rise to the occasion in big moments. Hasn't yet, but maybe, like you said, that moment does arrive for Corey Perry. Let's go to 7th best scored. It says, "It was so nice last night, still having 0 on the board for them at intermission for the first time in a while." Yes, obviously that changed though, but they were strong for those first 2 periods with the 2-0 lead. Third period, good seesaw battle, and the Oilers came out on top. This one says, "Pettersson is arguably their best player. Why wouldn't they play him with Miller?"
I think they have before, but I think you get into the scenario where it's like Connor and Leon together, right? It doesn't.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, not that he's been, pushing the river, so to speak, with the line that he's on, but I think that it makes it a little bit easier if you put Brock, Miller, and Pettersson on a line together. Although that's formidable. What are you coming back with at this point? And you're talking about...
Look at this. They have Pius Suter on the top line with Miller and Besser, right? And then so you put Pettersson up there, you stack them up, and it is very similar to what the Oilers did with McDavid and Draisaitl.
And then what are you coming back with? With Lindholm, maybe... I would go Lindholm, Joshua. I'd keep that line together, actually.
And we talked about how good they were after
second line. Yeah. It's... I like the look of that. I'd love to have a line like that. That Dakota Joshua's a beast. He's a great player.
We talk about the lack of Oilers depth, quote unquote. That was a narrative a couple days ago. I mean, if you move Pettersson up and you go Pius Suter down, and then Lindholm, you have to bump up to quote unquote second line center, or you turn Mikheyev and Lafferty, who are the wingers for Pettersson as of last night. They become the third line. You elevate Lindholm, Joshua, and Garland to the quote-unquote second line. Like, are you liking that depth from an outside perspective?
No, and I like the fact that I think you need either Connor or Leon to go up against Miller or Lindholm, right? Because they're to me they're the two Canucks aside from Arturs that are that are dominant players for the Canucks. So I think it evens it out a little bit more. And this is where Oilers need something from their third line to feast a little bit. This is where they have to make their mark on the series in this best of 5 here.
Paging Corey Perry, like you said a minute ago. Millwood's Matt texting it. Says, my heart rate was so high in the third period, and when it finally ended, I couldn't sleep, so I tried to come down listening to the soothing sounds of the post-game show. Millwood's Matt, thank you. That's why we do it. That to soothe you. He was great. His dulcet tones on the post-game was excellent. So I like to hear that. Appreciate it very much. And then Eden says, afternoon, boys. I thought early in the Kings series that I would prefer Ryan over Carrick. Carrick struggles to make plays that Ryan makes on a regular basis. And I think, Joaquin, that goes back to what you said, the skill level between the two. And nobody's going to knock.
It's not a series like the Kings. The Kings were a little, I thought they were going to be more physical. But although this is a physical series, Canucks aren't a huge team.
No.
And again, Ryan has the ability to make really good, solid plays that maybe don't show up on the score sheet all the time.
Good point. Nasty chat, how's everyone doing? Tom Bob Barker, no freezer bag. You and Propane Pimp, man. You guys are just like the worst tag team in league history right now. I have to say, we love you, but we hate you at the same time. Propane Pimp is complaining and being a typical propane pimp today, and freezer bag. No, stop it. Stop it. What's that Michael Jordan meme? No.
Oh,
stop it.
So stop. Yeah, stop it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. What's Sean Daniels says? Tom. Okay, I'm gonna go. BR Montenegro says big fan of DR10. He is defensively responsible, has the ability to generate some offense, not to mention the dark arts. Ask Hoagland.
The dark arts.
The dark arts. Well said.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to do the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival keyword for the entry to win a VIP table. I will get to that right now. Text in to 780-218-9999. Stage. Text it in right now. Stage is the keyword to enter. To get in at the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. It's the Friday night VIP table. It's going to be a great event. Obviously, some great headliners. And then I think it's Shea Gillis and Andrew Schultz that night. There's going to be Whitney Cummings will be here. Kevin Hart will be here.
That's great.
And Mark Gagnon. And I feel like I missed. Oh, Bert Kreischer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be awesome.
As Nikki Glazer says, one joke. Shirt off. That's a great joke.
Okay, I'm going to read Jason and LeDuc's text, and then I'm going to get your thoughts going into game number 5. Stage is the keyword to win a VIP table for the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. We will pick someone that will be your entry into the draw for the VIP table. Stage is the keyword. Let's go to Jason and LeDuc, who says, I don't get some fans. This is what we wanted all along during the decade of darkness. I eventually couldn't even watch any playoff hockey anymore because I would just get depressed. The Oilers were never there. This is so beautiful. I'm loving it all. Give me 7 freaking games, please, says Jason and LeDuc. That's good. Good context, Jason and LeDuc, and I like that. I want to save that one for the last text.
Yeah. You got to love it. It's anxious, you get the day off in between, relax, but get ready to ramp it up again tomorrow night. I love it.
Be ready. All right, Gage, we got a minute or two here. You're looking at game number 5 from an Oilers standpoint. Big win at home yesterday. What are you tweaking? What are you saying to the guys? How are you approaching tomorrow night in Van?
Well, I think if memory serves me correctly, I did say that be goldfish,
Yep.
Everything that you've done up to this point doesn't mean a thing. You've given yourself a chance to win a series. But it's good. Again, the attitude of no passengers.
Yes.
Whether you cannot be complaining or I can't impact the game with 2, 3, 4, 10, 20 minutes. You have to do something special with the time that you're given while you're out on the ice. And that's just game management, discipline, being in the right position, not cheating on the offensive side, and make sure that you don't beat yourselves. Make the Canucks they have the mindset that they have to do something very special to beat you. And I think if the Oilers have that kind of mantra going into the next game, they'll be just fine.
And isn't there a cat that's like predicted every game right? like pushing a ball.
I think so. Yeah. My daughter, she wanted to come on last night, and because she's picked the Oilers win-loss record quite well. I guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, but maybe she sucked it all out of me. But she did predict they were going to win, and told me for at least 3 hours after the post-game show all night that she was, listen, I know what I'm talking about here.
I love it. She's been watching a lot of EST. She's got one of the best here to learn from. That's so awesome. All right, a big thank you to everybody here at Boston Pizza, St. Albert North. Thank you to everybody who showed up today. That's been great. It's time for lunch, man. I'm thinking like the square footer or something. I'm ready to take down something delicious. Huge thank you to all of our sponsors, Popeyes, Cool Bet, obviously Boston Pizza, and to everyone who got in. Stage is the key word for the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival VIP table. Keep that texting coming in to 780-218-9999 if you want to enter and get picked. We'll keep rolling on with that as we progress throughout the spring. Gager, fantastic work the last couple of days, pal. Thank you so much. For Joaquin Gage, I'm Tom Gazzola, saying thank you as always. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Ciao, guys.